Hello friends, thank you for joining me again today. My name's Dan and this is Daily Art Adventure number 940. My productivity has slowed down markedly in the last month, I guess, and that's not a sign of things to come. I don't think it's just a coincidence. The biggest part of which is I had a commission, a mural that I had to paint on location, not here in my studio, of course, a mural on a wall. I guess it's kind of redundant to say it was on location, literally on the location. Anyway, let's get official, just so you know it's really me. This is Daily Art Adventure number 940, the longest title I've ever had, I believe, in all of my Daily Art Adventures. Finishing touches on Girls Trio. That's what I'm calling that. It's a working title of this painting. And the finishing touches are corrections, sparkle, in quotes, and palette knife. Ready, set, go. Director, me, myself, and I. For those of you who don't know me, I'll stick my head in here just for a minute. There we go. Other than that, you're just going to see the back of my head. All right, the final, the painting is, would have been finished with perhaps the little exception of corrections. But I've added two new late stage additions to my painting process, and they are sparkle, what I call sparkle, I'll explain that later, sparkle and palette knife. The only reason for the palette knife is to introduce an alternative texture into the painting, because variety is such a good thing. Variety is one of the highest visual values. For those of you who took a high school art class or something, often variety is listed somewhere in the principles of design. The principles of design are not nearly as nailed down as the elements of design. The elements, I think I usually do 6: line, shape, color, texture, value, and composition or design. All right, so I am doing, right at the moment, I'm doing the most irksome part of this job, which is making corrections. I spoke quite a bit last time I worked on this painting. I talked quite a bit about what to call it. This is not at all supposed to be a portrait of these three girls, because we don't really know what they look like. I'm doing this painting for this woman. The picture was taken about 39 years ago, so she has gotten a little older than she is here. In this picture, I think she's 13 years old. And I talked quite a bit about, I define my paintings or describe my paintings as abstract realism. And in the case of this painting, in the case of these faces, the abstract is supposed to far outpace the realism. In other words, I'm trying to capture a believable face, actually 3 believable faces, without doing anything tight. Hello, David. And you're saying the lady in the purple. Gotcha. So I am trying to paint these faces with lots of energy, with energetic strokes. As someone looks at these paintings, and by the way, this is the latest sketch. And again, I don't want to do this. This is just a go by. I don't know what to call it. Whoops. That looks terrible. Okay, while I'm at it though, I'm going to mix up some lighter flesh tones. Right before I started broadcasting, hello, Uncle. Yes, she does a little bit. Is that what David is talking about? Maybe. I was indeed trying to put her in a sort of a slightly tense pose, so she's leaning forward a little bit. It is possible I overdid it. Uncle's comment. Oh, I had another. I actually thought about this, I think, laying in bed a couple days ago. I thought about this hand and said, you know what, I bet that hand is too small. So it's supposed to be almost, oh boy, it is. Do you know that trick? From the chin to the top of your forehead is one hand. I can't believe I thought about that while I was, as I said, laying in bed or something. Like, oh man, I bet that hand is too small. Now those fingers are a little too well defined. Now I'm curious to look at my sketch and see did she have a derriere in the sketch. I think she does. If I exaggerate it, I don't think so. I think she's okay. But you got me wondering, Uncle. going from bad to worse. Literally going from bad to worse. So the challenge here, I don't know if you can tell what I'm doing, is I'm trying to make every stroke accidental, so to speak. Boy, but that's just driving me nuts right there. That's just driving me nuts. And I mean that, the accidental, quite literally. I'm trying to make each stroke very abstract, very random, very energetic, high energy, high spontaneity, but look as though it's accidentally correct or accurate. Does that make sense? So, and I'm quite happy with both of these faces, which is too bad because this is the face that matters the most, since it's the face of my client. Okay, that's not so bad now. Let's see if... and by the way, I'm calling this finishing touches, but that's before I send the photograph, send the digital image to my client. She needs to approve of it, so it's very possible she may come back and say, no, need something or something or something, right? So this may actually, this is my finishing touches. So you can probably see that I'm trying to get a believable face without making any, without doing any tongue painting, without doing any controlled painting, but only, that might be all right. Let me, whoops, just picked up a brush, had a bunch of paint on it. And I picked up the bristles. That's funny. I might do just a tiny bit of dark on her left eye, the eye that's on our right. So mixing up dark, neutral, brown, not too dark, and there we go. Well, getting very close to tongue painting here. Get some of those last strokes. Okay, that might work. Okay, I'm gonna stop with the girls' faces there, because as I say, my client, I think she's going to be most concerned or fussy about the faces, which means I think there's about a 50% chance that when I show this to my client, she's going to say, you know, could we do something different with the faces? So I don't want to spend hours on it, only to have to come back and spend more hours later. So I'm pretty happy with where they are right now. So let's move on to the other two things that I do. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, false alarm. Another bit of correction here, or two bits. This woman's face needs some finishing, and this man's head is a little bit too large in my opinion. So let's do a head reduction. Do you ever do any head reductions? I bet you have. And I'm hoping just by like I'm doing right now, just shaving off the sides, I might be able to give the sense that his head is smaller. And his shoulders, I have his shoulders hunched on purpose. That's kind of an energetic pose, but I'm now feeling like they're just too hunched. So let's do a de-hunchification. Let's lower his shoulders just a little bit. Let's look at his sketch. Oh yes, it's got too much on top. Okay, I think that's better. I'm going to leave that at least for now. Now let's go over here to this woman, which ended up with a no face at all. That was quite the trick. We gave her a face endectomy somewhere in the process. So now we have to do reconstructive surgery and give her a face again. Uncle, thank you, bless you. Uncle sent me a little super chat with pretzels and beer money. Thank you very much. Very kind of you, thanks. Hello, Monique. Yes, I was thinking about you again today. As I was doing all kinds of other things and not broadcasting. I thought, oh, I'm going to have to make that same excuse to Monique again. Here it is. Oh, it's midnight. You're up terribly late. Bless your heart. So what was I doing? Oh, I'm glad to tell you. I'm happy to report that my 3-day-long project of repairing and refinishing a piece of furniture is finished. Whew, boy, I'm sure I didn't know how big that job was going to be when I started it. Otherwise, I probably would not have started. But anyway, it's a piece of my downstairs studio. My tabaret is the function that that's like a tabaret is a chest of drawers or a cupboard or a cabinet that an artist uses next to his easel. That's a tabaret. And my tabaret is an antique apothecary. I'll show it to you next time I paint downstairs. And I'm finished. So that's why I haven't been broadcasting today till now. That was long. I just had to get that job done. My downstairs studio is an absolute disaster. So once I got into it, I sort of had to finish. So I'm happy to report that it's finished. So I hope that somebody's kind of paying some attention to this crazy method of trying to paint faces in, I mean, these faces, as you can see, they're much more up close than usual. You know, when I'm painting pedestrians on the street, usually the indication of features, eyes, nose, mouth, ears, and so forth, is the boundary line for me. If I start indicating facial features, that means I've gone over the line. I've crossed the boundary. But obviously this painting is the figures are much closer than usual. So I've got to have facial features, and yet I want them very much to be very abstract. So I talked about this last time I was working on this painting. Truly quite a challenge. That's what you see me struggling to do. I can give some descriptions for how I'm trying to do it. One description would be I'm making myself very free to overdo every stroke. I take it too long, too big, too large, too intense, and so forth. So in a sense, make every stroke like that. I don't mean make every stroke like that. I mean make every stroke, one example. And of course, many times after making such a stroke, the face looks horrible. Like for instance, right now, what I just did to her eye looks horrible. But I don't panic, because I'm going to follow it up with another stroke. and after that one, her face may still look terrible, in which case I'll do another one and another one. And another. Now her mouth looks absolutely horrendous, right? Just don't panic. That's what I'm telling myself. Just don't panic. The danger would be to come in here and start making marks. Carefully. That would not be the right solution. If I make marks carefully, they will look as though they have been made carefully. Does that make sense? That's the principle. It's amazing the degree to which the marks on the canvas tell the history of your movements. So in a way, you should focus on how you're moving almost more than what you're painting. Now that's an exaggeration, but makes a good point. Okay, her face is getting closer, I think. She's a very homely woman. But at least she has features in the right, roughly the right spots, the right places on her head. So, see, that's progress. It's like almost every stroke is a mess, literally a mess. But the cumulative effect, I just keep making messes until I make one that makes me go, oh, well, that looks pretty good. I described it the other day that I want people, when they look at this painting, or when they look at these faces, I would like their brain to toggle back and forth at lightning speed. No, it's a face. No, it's a brushstroke. No, it's a nose. No, it's not a nose. It's a brushstroke. No, it's an eye. No, it's a pencil stroke. No, do you see? But very, very much quicker, much more quickly than that. In a sense, that's what I'm after. Really, that's what I'm after essentially in all of my painting. That's one way to describe perhaps what I usually call abstract realism. The realism is pretty obvious in my paintings. What the uninitiate might miss, perhaps, if they don't understand, what the uninitiated might miss is, and thereby be confused, by someone who's uninitiated. That would be a person who might walk up to this painting and go, from a distance, and go, oh wow, look, it's a painting of 3 girls singing, let's say. And then when they get close, they might be somewhat confused. Wow, but why is it so messy, right? That would be, again, what I'm calling the uninitiated, the uninitiate. That's an awkward word to say. Whereas someone who's more accustomed to looking at, okay, I think that's pretty good. Let me zoom just in on her. I'm going to call it good enough. I feel like, one little mark. Which requires 2 marks, right? I was thinking of a shadow under her bottom lip, But of course, then what is all this stuff over here? Well, that's just an abstract mark. I accomplished what I was after, but now she looks a little bit homely. So another way to describe this process, and a word picture I've used a lot when we were kids. I hope when you were kids, I hope you still do this somewhat. I hope that you did pictures in the clouds, right? Nice summer day with cumulonimbus clouds in the air, the fluffy kind, in other words, and you start looking with other people, say in your car or laying on the grass, whatever. You start looking for pictures in the sky. That's what I want someone's mind, they're bringing their mind to do. Oh, it's a face. No, it's a cloud. No, it's a face. No, it's a... That ain't no face. That's just a bunch of paint. Right? That's, again, the magic of abstraction. Now I just realized, wait a minute, I could make this woman at this. She's the one, for sure, blonde person in the whole painting. So let's give her a little more highlights in her hair. Right, Yahoo! I'm going to say, I think my corrections, so I have essentially three items, 3 issues that I'm working on in the finishing touches. By the way, William, buddy, like Leesville Lake, buddy, you could see your sketch up there. I hope to finish your painting tomorrow. What? Light blue, my goodness, bless your heart. Thank you. Light blue just gave me a super chat of $100. That is so kind. Truly, I am humbled and grateful. Thank you so much. Very, very, very kind of you. I appreciate it. My wife appreciates it. The wife who's, she says, yeah, but are you making money from all that broadcasting? And I go, heck no. Actually, I am. I make about $140 a month. So this month it'll be $260. Thank you so much, Light Blue and Uncle. That is very kind of you. All right. Again, she make strange. Just wouldn't you know, I really like this face. Again, what I mean is I feel like I've accomplished. I like this one that I just finished too. Yeah, and I like this one and this one. This one, not quite so much. So we'll see. But all right, let's 3 things I want to do. One is corrections. I've done that. Head smaller, fixed face, little other time. All right, the 2 more things. One is palette knife, and one is sparkle. I'll do sparkle first. That would be my norm. I was just debating. Now let me explain. So let me explain why palette knife. Let me explain that first. Is it just an arbitrary rule that you have to use? No. Nobody has to use a palette knife in their painting. No, I just discovered. You know, it became a conscious issue about a year ago or so. I went, wait a minute. I have an opportunity to infuse, not confuse, to put into my paintings yet one more variety. I'm not saying it right. The words don't come out right. At the moment, there's almost no palette knife. I'm looking. There might be some, but anyway. So why do I want Why do I want to go to the bother of putting some palette knife strokes? Simply because it gives my painting more variety. Plus, oh, I know, I could have a separate category. I didn't list it, but you could truly make a separate category of I never know how to say this word. How do you guys like to say it? Impasto or impasto? I'm going to say impasto. It just sounds so... Impasto sounds like an Americanized version of impasto. Anyway, thick bits of paint. So that should have been added to my list of finishing touches, is adding... So at the moment, can you see my palette? Oh, good. If I go all the way out, you can see my palettes. I'm trying to match this color right here. Yep, a little bit too light. I thought so. Now I don't want it. I certainly don't want to put something darker. No, there we go. All right, now I'm going to try to scoop up. I'm not sure that I made enough. I like it okay. It's just a little bit too much of it, so let's take some off. All right, now unfortunately, you guys can't see that. At best, all you can do is imagine it. You saw me do it, so you know what the effect is. That there's a little bit of palette knife texture right there. That smooth, glossy finish that you get with a palette knife stroke, right? That all that does, as I keep saying, forgive me for repeating myself, all that does is give a little more variety, create a little more variety in my painting. I'm going to do the same thing. I have a penchant, good old word. I have a penchant for doing palette knife strokes in flat areas. Partly because you don't expect to see a lot of interesting stuff here in a flat area like that, but all of a sudden your eye catches it, and again, I think the viewer gets a little flutter of, oh, that's nice, a little, I'm calling a little flutter of surprise. It's like, and again, they don't know, the viewer doesn't need to consciously say this, of course, but subconsciously their eye says to them, ooh, look, something a little bit different. Yeah, that was nice. You know what I would love to do is on this girl's it's a black dress in actuality. And of course, in my painting, it's a dark, dull blue purple. It's dark, dull, dirty purple. So I'm going to mix up. I'm going to try to match this color, but it has to be opaque because I'm going to put it on top of this. So it has to be slightly lighter than what's already there. Oh, I just killed it. I thought I was picking up a little tiny bit of titanium white, and wouldn't you know, I picked up way more than I thought. So That's right. I needed a bigger pile of paint anyway. All right. Now let's test. Okay, it's too dark. That's kind of a happy problem to have, because that means I can add a tiny bit of white to it. So I have on my palette here dark, dirty purple. Oh, good. Still too dark. I gotta admit, now this is one moment, I don't remember ever having this moment before, where I wouldn't mind having some zinc white on my palette. I never use zinc white. I tell people not to, because it's a waste of money. Zinc is weak. So why do you need... Okay, now we're slightly bluer now. Why do you need weak paint? If you want weak white, just use less titanium. But here I am actually, for the first time I can actually remember. Wouldn't bother me if I had some zinc white, because I'm trying to add such a tiny bit of white to this pile of dirty purple. Did you catch all? I don't know if you caught all that. I don't. There we go. All right. I don't recommend normally buying zinc white, again, because it's a weak, it's often called mixing white, which of course the paint people have marketing objectives. They want people to buy their paint, and one of the ways they do that is by confusing their customers, confusing students. Because a typical student, now there's probably some fantastic painter out there who's way better than I am, who swears up and down on about the value of zinc white. Fortunately, that painter is not on this broadcast or in my studio right now, so I'm free to say what I think. But my line of thinking is, if you want weak titanium, just use less of it. No, anyway, so you can mix perfectly. All right, that is nice. In fact, and forgive me, you guys can't even see that. I forget. That's really pretty boring. Pretty boring demo here when you can't see what I'm doing. All right, you guys have me all worried about this girl's derriere. See, you got to me. You got to me after all. I thought I could ignore you guys. It just keeps working on me. Yeah, maybe she's just a little too derriere-ish. Gonna say shave. Okay, so I'm already butt reduction. I mean, that's what this is called. Tushendectomy. My apologies to those of you who are perhaps watching for the first time. Part of my silliness is I'm always making up words. Dotification and de-dotification are two of my favorites. But that's an important concept, though. Dotification, and when you get too many dots, then you have to do de-dotification, and that is a very, very serious state of affairs. All right, there we go. You happy now? I am. Thanks. Hey, how about since I've already got this dark, dirty purple, let me add some tiny bit of phthalo blue to it, and I think it might be about the same color as this guy's suit. Oh yeah. I am now taking this dark dirty purple and adding some yellow to it to try to make a dark dirty brownish green, because I see another place, another nice spot for some, a little bit of palette knife way over here. Oh, I just greened it up quite a bit, might be too much. Yep. So I'm adding some oxide red to that green and some titanium white to make it more of a army green or olive green. Almost a little bit lighter will be perfect. Yeah, nice little subtle, just a subtle surprise, subtle variety. Not only the glassy smoothness of the palette knife stroke, but the razor sharp edge. So I've just created, I probably can't see anything, I've just created a really sharp edge. We've talked about this before. Hardness of edge is made up of two things. And this is in what his name, I'm drawing a blank again, the guy's name. Anyway, what he calls edge control, one of my favorite teachers. What he calls edge control has to do with this balancing of hard and soft edges, right? Very, very important. But it's important when you're doing that to understand what determines how hard an edge is. Okay, so again, the typical is hard versus soft. Just broke a rule right there. I put a dark opaque stroke on top of a light one. Breaking a rule, but it looks good. The hardness of a stroke is determined not only by how hard the line is, but by the difference of color and value. Like if you have a number 9 gray and a number 8 gray, and it's a razor sharp edge, but your eye is still going to interpret that as a fairly soft edge, because even though it's a hard edge between two colors and values that are nearly identical. So your eye sees it as a soft edge. That's important to know. And that's what I've done right here. So I just created a hard edge, but it's a number 8 and a number 7, or a number 9 and a number 8. And again, our eyes really enjoy subtleties. All right, I'm going to declare myself finished with the palette knife. I can come back and do more, of course, if I decide that's a good idea. But I just have basically one or two things left to do. One is the one that I listed, which is sparkle. Now I will define that for you. It's very simple. It's looking throughout the entire canvas for any color whatsoever that would be benefited by having a slightly lighter version of that color on top of it. So sparkle is, you're basically matching the colors that are already there. So this is not a matter, this is not broken color, this is like the opposite of broken color. It's a slight broken value, but broken's even too strong a word in this case, a pushed value. All right, for instance, this girl's dress is purple, and I've just mixed up a little tiny bit of purple that's essentially the same color as what's already there, just one tick lighter. Now, by the way, I just realized, when usually I say one tick, whatever that means, but I just realized, you know what? I do know what that means. Imagine with me, and I have around here somewhere, let's see if I can put my hands on it real quickly. I have a 10-degree grayscale. It's not there. Hang on just a second. It'll be worth it if I can find it quickly. But you can imagine, whether I'm able to find it or not, imagine a 10-degree grayscale. One end is black, the other is white. One tick is from one number to the number right beside it. So that's about what I'm doing right now. It's almost the same color as what's already there, but as I said, just one tick. And I never realized till today, right now, that I actually do have a tick. For me, a tick does mean something. I was doing it intuitively. Now from now on, I'll do it consciously. All right, same thing. Let's do the same thing with this pretty pink dress, the star of the painting, if you will. That's because she's the star because I'm doing the painting for her. So I'm trying to mix up that's interesting. It's pink and it's slightly lighter than which. It's also slightly cooler. Let me see, I'm going to make a bigger mark and just see if I like it. I'm still not sure. Hey, some good chat's happening here, and I'm completely ignoring you. Let's see what's going on here. Oh boy, look at you guys. David, I like your comment. The left hand makes a mess, my right hand fixes it. That's kind of true, although I try not to do that. Pink Lady said it's too wide. I will look at that. You may be correct. Thanks for that thought. Yep, I like those small sticks. Don't have them, but I like it. Light blue, Dan, is that your style of drawing? Ooh, that's a good question. I take it you're asking, does the term abstract? No, and it really doesn't. No, that's a very good question, and I would say, I mean, I can do drawing in that style, but no, that's not my native or natural drawing style, because the whole concept of abstract realism is something that's developed in the last 16 years in my oil painting, you know, sort of after I abandoned, if you will, largely my career of illustration. And when I was an illustrator, I did I did more drawing than painting. And so my drawing kind of got stopped back there in earlier stages of development. It's a very good question. I hope you're still listening. Light blue. Okay, I like that now. And that, by the way, that really doesn't qualify as a sparkle. That's too large of an area. So let me go ahead right now and mix up some lighter pink even. And now this is, oh, it's not light enough yet. So when I get the right color. So there you go, I guess without realizing it. In my mind, sparkle, just like real sparkle on the water or sparkle on anything, it doesn't take up a lot of area. Let me look at David's chat about the face being too wide. I'll come back to that. I have a strong sense that that's a good point, David. All right, more sparkle. I'm looking for anything else that's pink. Nope, I don't see any, so let's keep going. And I change my pink to purple then without cleaning my brushes. So now I have a pale, pretty purple. Now this girl's dress already did sparkle on her. Now I'm just doing a darker sparkle, which doesn't make any sense, except it's that it's on the darker part of her dress. So in that sense, it does make sense. All right, more good chats, you guys. Oh, tip jar. Okay, thank you, Uncle, for helping us out here. I see. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it. Light blue. I have zinc because I wanted every single color. I love it. Love it. I remember that impulse many years ago. Hey, it's here, it's in the store. I should buy some, shouldn't I? Why would they sell it if I shouldn't have some? Well, thanks, Uncle. Thanks, Light Blue, for responding to that. Oh, that's a good Andrew Tischler, who's a pretty lousy painter. Who's a pretty good painter. That's what I meant to say. He's a pretty good painter. Doesn't use zinc either, but he uses lead. Isn't that funny? Wow. Light blue, still laughing at your. Exactly. Oh. I've spent the last couple days, maybe, I don't know if you heard me or not, first of all, repairing my Tabaret, which is an antique apothecary file. It needed repairing, so that's what prompted. And then once I started repairing, then I got into refinishing, which then got me into reorganizing my Tabaret, the little cart that sits beside my easel downstairs. I found things in there I don't think I've looked at in 10 years, and but it got me thinking about colors of paint again, and the colors I don't use anymore. And it makes me now I don't want to get stuck in a rut, but I have bought so many color tubes of paint over the years that I'm now thinking I am never going to use that thing. So I've actually started actively giving it away. So if any of you are local, as soon as coronavirus gets over, I'll commence with my handing out, I'll just pass the bucket around. See if there's anything in there you want, take it. Because there's just some colors, I'm just not going to use them. Crazy. That sounds like an old man getting stuck, doesn't it? Hello, Sharon. Sharon London. Hope you're still with us. Light blue, are you serious? You have a toxic fumes odor purifier attached to your easel? You are the man. You are the man. App controlled too. Wow. I used to have one of those in my office and it died. The air purifier system. I love the smell of OMS in the morning. Just light a candle to burn off the fumes. I hope people know when not to believe you guys. That is, by the way, though, remind you, that is a good test. I hate this, whatever David Mercer usually gets on us about air cleanliness, but it does bring up a point. If you want to test how pure is your air really, by the way, I'm doing sparkle while we talk. You can light a candle or something, turn on a burner. Or at our house, in the wintertime, it's turn on the gas logs in the fireplace. And the open flame, I don't know what the word is, picks up, if you will, the paint, any petroleum distillates or anything that's in the air, and then you can smell it. So that is a good, rather scary, sobering way to find out how clean is your air really. So really light a candle might not be a bad idea. Not to clean the air, but just to find out how clean it is or isn't. There, free tip there. All right. You may be right about making the three girls more refined, but I'm going to find out when I send this to my client. She and I have had quite a long conversation about that, and I think I'm where she wants it. She wants it just to be, anyway, fuzzy. Bye, Uncle. Enjoy. We had spaghetti meatballs last night. How about that? David makes a point. Not everything David says is correct, but a lot of it is, David. I'll give you that. I'll give you that much credit. Flat to the wall. Well, I'm not sure you're right, but you know what? I see an easy fix, and it's right sort of along the lines of some sparkle. If I think it might partly be too similar a value here and here, so I've just pulled the piano forward, I think. Do you agree? Just by adding a little bit of that. Now I think it needs to be a little more orange than that, so bear with me. Let's tweak that color a little bit. There we go. Give that woman back there some teeth. She looks a little better now. And I think this Mr. MC man, he could use some lighter teeth as well. Oh, I was so gentle and it's still too much. All right, that's okay. Still sparkle, just anywhere. Like right now I have a very neutral tan beige color on my brushes, and I'm looking for places that already has this color but slightly darker than what's on my brushes. Then just a little touch. Now part of the thinking, part of the, what's the word, a principle behind the sparkle thing is I like to say it this way: the human eye, all of us, that is to say, we like to see light paint on top of dark paint. Conversely, we do not like to see dark paint on top of light paint. This does not apply to watercolors. So just coming in and adding tiny bit of, again, what I'm calling sparkle, almost always pleases the eye, because I'm doing light. Whoops, that was a bad move. Don't worry though, don't panic. I'm not even going to erase it all, I'm just going to erase part of it. All right, I've been holding off on doing the studio spotlights up here in the ceiling. This may be the last thing I do. This is where I'm very glad that I'm using Alkyd titanium white. All my other oil paints on my palette are regular oil paints, but my titanium white is Alkyd, which means fast dry. That allows me to do some impasto, some thick stuff. And if those marks, I don't know how well you can see them, if those marks were regular titanium white, they would take at least 2 weeks to dry. How do I know? Because I learned this lesson many years ago and said never again. I had a painting one time that took 6 weeks for some delightful thick impasto stuff like this to dry. Wow, I'm not going to do that again. And I'm going to go back to the palette knife here. Here's a trivia question I've asked before. What's the lightest color, lightest, brightest, lightest color you can put on your painting? Most people would say, well, that'd be titanium white, wouldn't it? And the answer is technically yes, but no. To modify that titanium 2 ways. Number one, warm it up, make it slightly, like right now I'm using a tiny bit of Naples yellow in my titanium to make it a warm white, and the warmth causes it to proceed toward the viewer a little bit, and so then it comes across as slightly lighter than pure titanium. Now if it starts looking dark, then you've put in too much yellow. And secondly, if you apply that white color with a palette knife, that is now the lightest, brightest color you can put on the canvas. And that's what I did up here. The reason is, when you apply paint with a brush, it leaves the hairs, the bristles, leave brush strokes. And those grooves in the paint refract, bend the light so that it doesn't come across as bright, whereas a palette knife has a glassy, smooth surface. So I in fact have 4 bits of that color, that lightest stuff. All right, I could go on. Of course, you can keep going forever, but I think I'm done. I'm gonna let you guys have the fun. Oh, how fun it is of sarcasm, of watching me sign the painting. I guess it's been a little while since I did my signature rant, so those of you who've heard it many times before, you can go away. Here we go. Hang on. Number 1, Winsor Newton Series 7 brush. Start with that. Don't talk to me until you have one of those. Don't talk to me about signatures until you have Winsor Newton Series 7. Expensive as brushes go, but not as life goes. And this is a number 1. Oh, and it's not a Winsor Newton Series 7. Isn't that funny? So we're going to find out. That was funny. See if it'll do as good a job. It's a Robert Simmons Red Sable. You do not need to be in a hurry to do your signature. Okay, so the principle of a signature, in my mind, is extremely simple. It must be your name, and it must be legible. Duh. Most early journey painters who have lousy signatures, which is most of them, the reason they have a lousy signature is because, first of all, they've gotten the impression wrongly from some good painters who have lousy signatures. They think it's cool to do the Mask of Zorro, the unintelligible scrawl. If it's a good painter doing that, it's a good painter with a bad signature. Do not do what they do. But the main reason that early journey painters have a bad signature is they're trying to do it with a bristle brush. That's ridiculous. And they feel like you're supposed to do it in a hurry. That's ridiculous. So sit down someday, work out your signature, make it up, right? As I like to say, it's basically a Disneyfication of how you sign your check. It is my signature. It's my real signature, but I've designed it up a little bit. That's all. Real simple. All right, let me back up. So that's all there is to it. When I see a beautiful painting and I can't read the signature, I think the artist is an idiot. I won't tell you that that's what I think if it's you, but that is what I think. All right, let me finish. I see, after such a happy broadcast, I end on such a negative note. Light blue, I hear you. I hear you. All right, I'm going to call it quits. I will look at that forearm, David. I think that's a good point. But I'm too tired right now. The painting has a good feeling here in person. I don't know how it feels to you guys, wherever you are. Let's see if I can give you a hit-on look for just a minute. Here, it's not straight, but that's what it looks like. All right, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. I hope, you know what, hang on. I just think I'm done. I'm gonna go, wait a minute. This one right here, I think if I gave her some teeth, just a slight light gray, not too bright. Attempt number 1, aborted. There we go. That is better. Doggone, why didn't I think of that earlier? That's all she needed. That's all she needed was some teeth. All right. Again, thanks for watching. I enjoy your company very much, and your chats, and your super chat contributions, Light Blue and Uncle. Appreciate it. I'm looking to see if I'll be back tonight. I smell the smell of supper wafting up through my closed door. So I hope supper's ready soon. If I do anything exciting tonight, I'll by all means bring you on board. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.